What is going on? It's Devin here at Idle Identifiers. This is post episode 2 of the new season 2 Survivor Wisconsin Cabin Fever action pack episode. We saw a really cool challenge in the beginning. Idle Hands, I'm glad we finally able to do it, kind of an adaptation of the real show. Came down to the wire, was a great challenge to watch, and it seemed like a lot of the contestants had fun. And then we had another vote off and a duel between Richie and the new person out. Came down to the wire. That person that won was back in the game. The person that lost was eventually eliminated. And then we had a tribe swap, and then that was it. We just showed the tribe dynamics of the tribe swap that I decided to do instead of doing another whole challenge. Knew the episode would be a little bit longer then, and I just kind of wanted to really focus on the new tribe swaps. I know we have a smaller numbers, but it's the best we can do with it, and I know people I can clearly see, like, we only had 10 people, so we had a Redemption Island. We wanted to do that because we wanted to give people a second chance. There's nowhere to hide with 10 people, but if you guys watch the episode, check it out first. I will link episode 2 in my bio. It just premiered last night. This is being recorded right after the episode 2, but just a little podcast again, breaking down the episode, section by section, everything. But if you guys would watch it, head over now because spoilers are about to be said if you haven't watched it yet. But the person that did end up getting out in this episode was Kyle Wilson, but his time out of the game was very short-lived because he ended up defeating Richie in the duel, and now we're going to be joined here by, fortunately, the first person officially eliminated from Cabin Fever Survivor Wisconsin Season 2 is Richie. Richie, unfortunately, the first person out of the game, lost the duel to Kyle Wilson. We'll get into your feedback of how it went down, but I'm glad you're able to join us again for the second episode of the podcast, breaking down the new season. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I just finished watching the episode, so I think everyone will know I have a lot of interesting things to to mention tonight.
Yeah. So before we'll get down to your elimination and things, but first let's just talk about kind of the episode in order until you get out.
Oh yeah.
So right at the episode starts right after you kind of got voted off, and it was your tribe talking about why they kind of voted you off. They said, some things where, yeah, Richie knows a lot about the game and things, and Arthur was kind of saying that he feels like he maybe had an advantage. So what were kind of your thoughts about how they were reacting to voting you off 3-1-1?
I was laughing my ass off because I thought it was so stupid in a sense. I thought I heard Arthur. It was Arthur or someone else saying at one point that even though like there are returnees there are a lot of returnees there. I forgot who said that. Someone said something very similar to that at one point. And I looked around and I'm like, okay, no, that is not what you said. The premiere episode when you said I'm a returning player, so that makes me the biggest threat. Like, it was such bullshit. And I thought it was funny that now Kyle starts to talk about SNC. He doesn't do it before, but I think there was one part, the premiere, where he's talking about how, what was it? He's talking about how he's like, oh, well, I won the most challenges, like, I won, like, all of them. And I'm like, no, Lizzie Howell holds the record for most individual wins first off, and I'm trying to calculate that up tonight to see who has the most. And I can guarantee you, Kyle does not have the most wins. He's maybe tied at best, but he does not have the most wins. So it's like, I thought that was hysterical how now he wants to talk about SNC. It's after I already threw the target on him. So I do think that's a little funny. How that's when he starts is when I leave. Probably because he knew I'd contradict half the shit he said. So yeah, he knows that I know everything. I know more than he does. I know more than everyone does. So
so then the next step is the challenge. Idle Hands was a variation of the real shows. Kind of thought I've always wanted to do that, and I kind of was like, let's finally do it. And I thought of using it with, little pong paddles and a little like plastic cup. So it came down to the wire as a 4-3 vote, 4-3 win for the Wolfpack tribe to win again. Your former tribe's downfall continues losing, and Kyle, who was, you're talking down about right now, struggled against Dakota in that challenge, and he goes throughout the entire episode saying how long Dakota's wingspan, and Dakota, if you watch this, you beat his ass. So what'd you think of that challenge? You think it was pretty cool, or?
Okay, first off, I love the challenge, and that's one of the other reasons I was so mad I was out first, because I wanted to do that so bad. I was looking at this, like, this looks so much fun. Like, why couldn't we have done this the first challenge? Like, I would have dominated this. Like, I would have probably thrown mine up so high and quickly slammed it out of the other person's hand. Like
Jasper did, yeah.
I would have done that. Like, I was watching, a lot of people had good ideas like that. I was like, yeah, like, I would have done something very similar. So, I just think, like, I mean, it's similar to what I said in my redemption confessional, but, like,
yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's very similar to what I said as my thoughts. It's that I just thought it's hysterical that they acted like, oh, well, we're a strong four. We're like the dudes, you know, like, ooh, and then they lose again. I'm like, haha, fuck you, you know, like, it really didn't help voting me off, did you?
Yeah, so the Wolfpack tribe wins again, and a nail biter. It was pretty fun to watch. I wish I could compete in that too. That was fun. So then the next part is we kind of pan to you, give you a little confessional at Redemption Island. And yeah, I mean, if you want to touch on that real quick, I mean, people saw the episode, your kind of thoughts already, so.
I honestly forgot I said half of what I said. I remember I was bitter.
Yeah, you were.
When I watched it back, I think I texted it to a friend of mine. I was like, I was a lot more bitter than I thought I was. And it's funny to look back. Like, yeah. It's so funny, but...
Yeah, you got in the heat in the moment.
What I said. Like, they all thought they were going to win by voting me off. It's like, okay, well, you just vote off someone who's going to be loyal to you and help you unconditionally in challenges, so who's getting the last laugh? Like... Yeah. I do, from the sidelines, as I mock all of them from above.
So then we kind of go back to the Wolfpack tribe that wins their second challenge in a row. Their vibes are just high. Yeah. They're really excited. Not really talking any strategy, which I get because they kind of were talking about
Matt's
later
talking
in the...
smack.
Huh?
Sorry, I said, but Matt's talking smack.
Yeah, Matt was talking smack to you. He said, you know, Kyle and him were like, sorry to see you go. And then Matt said, not really. So what'd you think of that?
I mean, I can think of it this way. At least, unlike Matt, I have situational awareness of what's going on around me. So.
Damn. Shots fired.
Like, I was literally, like, thinking that exact thing. I'm like, okay, well, you know, like.
Maybe the trilogy of Matt and Richie's rivalry will come in a later season in Survivor Wisconsin, but.
I don't hate Matt, but, like, it's comments like that. I'm looking at my TV watching, and I'm like, dude, like, I could fuck you up in an instant.
Whoa! Watch out, Matty
go
Ice.
At you, one-on-one, physical challenge, just like, let's go. Let's go.
Watch out, Matty Ice.
Season 3, let's go.
Holy crap. Definitely not going to be season 3.
I love the Matt.
We might need a little break from Richie and Matt playing back-to-back seasons, but I could see it happen down the road. So this Wolfpack tribe vibes are high. They win 2 in a row. Not much strategy needed to be talked. So then we go to your former tribe, the Grizzly Bear tribe, and they're strategizing. Seems like, again, they don't really break off into groups, and they just talk shit about the player getting interviewed, and they did that basically the same way year-round that you got out. So
the Targaryen trick, that's what I call it.
And I understand, like, in Winter War, the Targaryen tribe you're referring to, there was really nowhere to go to strategize, so I get that.
Yeah, no, I call it the Targaryen trick because of, like, how it went down.
Yeah.
Like, just how we kept doing it the minute they joined confessionals. So that's why I call it Targaryen.
And I understand there's small numbers to break off, but there's plenty of room down there to break off. You could see it.
Oh, there was.
You could see
it. I should have.
Do you think, I know you should have, but do you think, like, this is just kind of dumb strategy for the Grizzly Bear tribe to just kind of just go based off challenge performance every round so far, it seems like?
I don't get how they think they're going to base their votes off of challenge performances when they all equally suck ass in challenges. Like, they really, I think it was Dan or Arthur that highlighted it perfectly, that they all dropped the ball at one point. Yeah. And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, yeah, you all kind of fucked up here. You see what I'm saying? It's not just me who fucked up. All of you fucked up. Like, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. And I do think, to an extent, it can be very important to base a vote off of challenge strength. Like, say someone's been sucking ass at every challenge, and that's the only reason the tribe is losing, and it's like 2 to 3 in a row, then I can understand that. But if it's like one challenge, then I'm kind of like, no. Like, you know, like, if they're on the outs and doing bad in challenges, that's obviously, like, at that point, they're fucked. But, like, I don't think basing it just on challenges is really always the best decision. It really varies on how good or bad the challenge person was at hand. So,
especially when they lost by 1 point. They almost won the challenge still, and I feel like they're just kind of using it as a cop out with smaller numbers to just go based off that instead of thinking about their own personal games.
It's the easy thing.
Yeah.
Well, and they're able to get away with it too because what was it? Like this is like Kyle's. I mean, technically that was Kyle's first time down here, but it's his fourth overall. It was Arthur's second time, so he's still relatively new-ish in the game, I would say, in my perspective at least.
Yeah,
and with Dan and Jasper, who are both complete newbies, who are just like, honestly, like, if you would probably show them seasons of Survivor and ask them what mentality they would go with, they'd probably go with the early seasons, the first 10, where they base it on challenge strength and all of that. So,
yeah, right.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting take compared to other seasons where we have, I don't want to say like game bots, but we have all these like people going hardcore strategic right off the bat. And it's like, even though it's not the smartest move, it does feel like a bit more of a fresh take strategically to see them base it off of challenges.
Yeah,
it's weird, but like it's a fresh take, I feel like. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's part of the new era of our little Survivor Series unadult identifiers. But so Kyle Wilson was petitioning with Jasper to get Dan out kind of off to the side. You couldn't really hear it in the video. And then Kyle said it kind of in the confessional. So do you think, obviously, Kyle ends up getting voted off, we saw in the episode, but do you think Jasper maybe should have tried tying it with Kyle to maybe take Dan out? Or do you think ultimately Jasper made the better decision taking Kyle out over Dan?
I think first off, and like it may be biased because I know how Kyle plays the game and I know he's won the game and all of that, but I do think Jasper made the right move. Additionally, I think tying it in a tribe that small, I assume it would have went to rocks if it was like a deadlock tiebreaker, right. Where it's like, for those watching, if it's like a tie, you go up and revote, and then the votes are still tied, it goes deadlocked, and whoever's not in the tie has to draw rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like at that point, Jasper would have had the 50% chance of going home by a freaking rock. So like, and I doubt that. I mean, maybe he would have changed on the revote. I doubt it, but it's like I think Jasper did make ultimately the right move in going for Kyle. I wish he would have made it one round earlier. but I mean, it's a good move. Like he was smart enough to kind of recognize what was going on. And same thing with like Dan and Arthur. Like they kind of heeded my warning. It was too late. You know, in my opinion, at least it was too late. But they heeded my warning where I was like, hey, Kyle is a lot smarter than you guys give him credit for. He will kick your ass, and you'll regret it down the line. I wish I would have realized it around earlier, but I got another topic another time. So,
so then the tribal comes, and it's pretty straightforward. 3-1, Kyle goes out. So Kyle then is sitting on Redemption Island with you. But before we get to the duel, we pan to the Grizzly Bear tribe again now, down only 3 members. And they Arthur and Dan are kind of saying, well, maybe Richie or Kyle had the idol at our camp. And Jasper's going completely along with it, saying, yeah, I think I saw something in his pocket. And Dan's like, well, I think he had his wallet. So Jasper's completely trying to not even make Dan or Arthur think that he's the one that actually found it. What'd you think of that?
I think Jasper is deflecting. I think the theory in general of Jasper, I almost call him Dasper. What the hell? I think Jasper trying to deflect it to begin with in theory is a good idea because you never want people to think you have an idol. Like in Fans versus Favorites in the Whitewater series, I publicly found an idol and I was immediately targeted for it. But it's I think the way he goes at it is a little I wouldn't say it was the best. I wouldn't say it was the worst. But I mean, it's I feel like it could start to work against him. But who knows?
Time will tell in future episodes.
Time will tell.
So then the next part of this episode, episode 2, it's a duel between you and Kyle, and the challenge was we were gonna do it outside, but it was way too windy out. So the challenge was you guys both had a plate in your head with 2 pong balls, and you had to stand on 1 foot and close your eyes. So it was meant to be really tough and probably not last that long. And unfortunately, Richie, you lasted maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and it was done.
I fucked up. It's literally what I said in my exit interview a couple minutes later is that I don't think this was on camera, thank God, because I was, I don't know, out of nowhere right before the challenge, and some people there saw it. I had this, it was a quick one, but I had this massive anxiety attack out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally felt my heart boom, 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 out of nowhere. And I even put my hands over my head this for a minute because I was just panicking so hard out of nowhere. And I was even trying to think why am I panicking so hard? it was just out of nowhere, and I thought my hair was like shaking, like it was like freaking vibrating.
Oh.
It was just so bad, and it's like at that moment I was like, "There's no way I can win this if I can't even keep my hands still." And it's like, I mean, I'm proud I at least tried, but I mean, I'm still not surprised I lost. I just wish it would have lasted at least like 5 seconds longer.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that happen, and I was really worried about you, and I'm glad you were able to.
Yeah.
I know it didn't really calm yourself down in the challenge, but do you? I mean, if you want to touch on it a little bit, do you think it kind of went away as soon as the challenge was done? You think you just kind of got in the heat of the moment, really just couldn't like concentrate on what the task at hand was, or?
Usually, like whenever I do a challenge or a competition, I always get a little anxious beforehand.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I don't want to say if the pressure is that high, but like, I mean, obviously there's like a lot of pressure in it, and obviously I can handle pressure. I think it's just in that moment, I think I just psyched myself out a little too much because it's like honestly, like even though Kyle didn't win the most challenges at SNC, he still did win a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking to myself, like the only person I didn't want to go against was someone like Kyle or Dakota, someone who I know could win challenges really easily. So it's like I was honestly hoping I'd get stuck with someone like Emma, Matt, or even Sam, because I was thinking like at least I could possibly beat one of them. But it's like, you know, like I don't know. I honestly forgot the question. I went on such a long rant, but
You're good. So then, obviously, unfortunately, the first one officially eliminated from the game. So if you just want to touch on it a little bit, I know you kind of have throughout the episode, but.
I mean, again, like I knew I was fucked from the start, and I still am more proud of myself this time than I was going out last time. And maybe it's because going out this time, like mentally, I was a lot better off this time mentally than I was going out in Wisconsin 1, where I was just having really one of the worst periods of time in my life. And again, like this time, I just felt like a lot more proud of myself because I at least going out, I was like, at least I did stuff this time. I at least tried to form alliances. I tried to play a little more aggressively, which terrified me too because I hate playing aggressively, especially at the start. Because my whole thought is like, if I'm too aggressive at the start, I'm gonna get bored off right off the bat. And I mean, not like it didn't save me or anything, but like, I still am proud that I at least tried a lot more and that like, yeah, I mean, and I feel like at least I got some fun confessionals in because I was like, if I'm not gonna win, I might as well be funny along the way. So
definitely,
I had fun.
And if this guy ends up watching it, there's been a fan. I'm not sure if you know who he is. I don't think I know who he is personally, but this guy named Finnegan Duffy that's been watching a lot of our seasons, it seems, recently, and he actually commented on the video and said it was sad to see you go, but he said you'll be back. So I think Richie will be kind of probably little breaks from the next couple seasons. I'm not sure how many seasons in between.
I'll be like the sacrificial lamb in like every season in the future. I'm predicting it now.
So yeah, we'll hopefully get Richie in a different season. We'll see what our kind of plan of action is. Maybe in season 4 or 5, or I'm not sure if we're gonna get 10 seasons out of the new series. Maybe we will. Who knows? So then diving into the rest of the episode now. So right after you get out, we do a tribe swap right away with Kyle Wilson back in the game. We get the two new tribes, basically Kyle Shield and Jasper switch tribes essentially. And Dolphin Sam's exiled. What'd you think of that little twist right there?
I mean, when I saw that, I was literally, and this is right after I got out, so like, I obviously like people saw that I ended up helping filming after I was eliminated from Redemption Island, but I was kind of looking around at just everything going on as it was happening because this is happening like right after I'm going off, and my mindset was like, okay, if there's either doing 3 tribes of 3, which I knew was pretty unlikely, but would be an interesting thing to try out. Yep. Or they were going to do 2 of 4 and exile one person. But I was surprised it was going to be Sam. Yeah. I honestly thought you guys were just going to exile Kyle Wilson and just swap up the other 8 still in the game and have him rejoin someone who just lost someone to guarantee that he at least gets one round after he's been voted out. So.
Yeah, so, a lot of these, like, plans, we were going to do a swap and have it at an even time originally and have someone be exiled for a round. We were planning to do that the whole time regardless of numbers. But obviously, Redemption Island twist and similar twists we kind of had to add in to make the season last a little longer, give some people extra opportunities because you can't really hide on a tribe of 5, 4, 3,
Oh yeah,
obviously. So it was just what we had. We did what we had could with 10 people, which it sucks again, but it still ended up being a fun time. It always is.
it
Um,
was.
so then we'll go to Exile Island. No solo room. That's Survivor Whitewater. We're at Exile Island. Shout out Survivor CBS. And Sam ends up getting there, talking about hopefully he can rejoin Emma, Matt, and Dakota on his original tribe after he's at Exile. And he gets a 50-50 shot at an advantage under plates. He pulls the right one and gets to steal a vote. What'd you think of that?
I mean, to steal a vote is definitely a major advantage. Like, if it's played the right way, it can do a lot of damage. Like, season 2 of Survivor SNC, which I know isn't on YouTube anymore because other issues I can't get into right now. It'll take too long to explain. But the second season we had was Battle of the Sexes, and there were 3 women, 3 men in the final 6. And as a lot of people know, one guy found Steal a Vote and had Safety Without Power. He gave it to one of the girls he was bonding with because he thought he had to use it by the final 6.
Ronnie?
And she used it against his alliance as he just bailed with Safety Without Power. Yeah, it was Ronnie who gave it to Lizzie, and just it was the funniest shit ever. Just to kind of watch the blowback from it, and then Ronnie then gets voted off Final 5, the tribal afterwards. And it's just all of this stuff going around. And then we had Steal-A-Vote and other seasons of Survivor SNC where it became like a big thing, where it's like you could steal someone's vote and fuck them up. And there was even one time where I think in our All-Star season, which went unaired, there was someone who actually made a fake Steal-A-Vote advantage, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And I even saw it, and I was laughing. It was just the funniest shit ever. Like because they know how much power it has in the game. Like, if you can get more than one vote, you can there's always a possibility you can sway the game in your favor. Like, that's one advantage I wish I would have had that I could have found earlier in the game. Like, it probably would have helped me escape that first tribal, but,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so then we head to the new Wolfpack tribe. The rest of the episode was just kind of showing the tribe dynamics. I know it kind of ended on a little bit of a weird spot, but I didn't really want to show a whole nother challenge and stuff. I just wanted to focus on these new tribes of 4. So we first go to the Wolfpack tribe. Jasper's joining, Matt, Emma, and Dakota, who haven't been aligned with Jasper the whole game. Jasper's gone to 2 tribals. Other tribe has won both. And, Jasper's asking, what their tribe strengths are for, like, challenges. And then he kind of accuses Dakota of having an idol, and Dakota does have one, and Dakota got very defensive about that. What'd you think of that part of them going to the new tribe?
I think it's kind of funny how, in the grand scheme of things, it really only looks like Kyle Shield and Jasper at first glance are the only ones to really switch tribes. Granted, Sam is an exile, could join whatever tribe, but I do think it's kind of funny how, like, because I've experienced this too. In one of my seasons, Twist Manor, my first season actually, what was it? I voted with Michael and Haley against Hunter right after the merge. And Hunter was trying to ask me about, like, hey, like, who did you vote for? I got defensive, and I was like, I didn't vote you. I voted Michael, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Nathan and Jack were with us when Michael told us the plan. They didn't. Like, he knew I was lying because of how defensive I got. And I feel like it's kind of the same. It's giving me very similar vibes to that, where he's going to look over and find out right off the bat, like, yeah, she obviously has something. She's getting this worked up and defensive over it. But, I mean, Dakota's also made the finals before. She's always made it pretty deep into the game every time she played. So maybe she can play it off in the future and be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, something like that.
Right, yeah. So that's kind of, and then that's kind of all what happens with that little issue. And then and Emma ends up finding the idol hidden at the new Wolfpack tribe. So Emma finds the idol. So now at this tribe of 4, Emma, Dakota, and Jasper all have an idol. Jasper still also has the vote detective advantage, and Matt has nothing. We'll see what ends up happening with that if this tribe ever loses. But what do you think of that dynamic of Emma finding that idol?
I think it's very funny that, at least to me, it's a little funny that Emma's probably the person that everyone would least suspect of having an idol, being like the quieter girl amongst this giant group of loud and proud people. Like, Emma's one of the more subdued and quieter people, and if she's still able to find an idol pretty much like keep it somewhat secret. I think I don't remember her telling anyone this episode about it. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't remember her telling anyone, but like I do think it could help her if she like told like an ally to build trust. But who knows?
So, yeah.
If she does or doesn't. But I do think it's kind of I don't know. I do think it's kind of fun to see these like newbies who are very quiet and subdued just go out of nowhere finding these advantages left and right as all these returning players are coming back for like their third, fourth, fifth time or just jumping in. They're like, where is this? Why can't we fucking find anything? Oh, it must not be here. Like, no, it's there. You just don't have it in your draw strap or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so what do you think of Emma so far as a player up to this point? I know they haven't really had to really show their allegiances or any votes, but so far what she's been doing as her first time playing and finding that idol.
I think as of right now, Emma is one of the most perfectly positioned players in the game because no matter what happens, she's not going home. Like, Dakota and Matt are constantly feuding on her tribe about God knows what. They were like an old couple. They probably bitch and bicker about everything, even though they claim they're not going to. It's like,
yeah, did you hear that part did you hear that part when Dakota said that we made up about
we made up our differences off to the side? No, you didn't. I know deep down they probably didn't. Like, all love to Dakota and Matt. But like, I feel like they have probably a similar rivalry to me and Matt in a way. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Like, it is a little bit in a way, but I think maybe it's more highlighted than mine and Matt's rivalry in the game, you know. But it's a fun rivalry from the way I see it. But it's like Dakota and Matt obviously go back and forth, and Jasper's on a man out on their new tribe, like, you know. So it's just kind of like Emma's the only one who's essentially, unless all goes to hell, I don't see Emma going out anytime soon. Just because of the fact that she's good with Dakota, she's good with Matt. Unless she really fucks up a challenge, I doubt Jasper is going to want to go against her. Like, and I think even at one point during the episode, they were commenting that Emma was doing pretty good in the challenges and that they liked how she was. So it's like, I just can't see anyone really going for her right now. And then something happens and Sam rejoins their tribe. Sam's not going to go for Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and with how everyone else in the game on the other tribe likes her, thinks she's good at challenges, and considering that it's the pre-merge and a lot of them are looking at challenge strength, I do think Emma is one of the most safest players in the game. Like, she's positioning herself perfectly, and like, being early in the game, you want to be very quiet, very subdued, but you want to be in a good position, and she's doing everything right, in my opinion, so.
Yeah, so that's really it that happened at the new Wolfpack tribe. No really dramas happened besides, you know, Jasper kind of accusing Dakota of maybe having an idol because she's acting a little suspicious, and Dakota did not like that in her interview. She said she doesn't like him coming at her that aggressively when he's clearly on the outs with them three being together the whole time so far. And Emma said too, like you said, that Matt and Dakota came up to them separately about aligning with Emma, and Emma said she talked to Jasper about that. So Emma's looking like all three of them are kind of coming to her. So she's kind of right in the middle, like she said she was in the beginning in the first episode.
She has the power.
She does. And then she gets a little more powerful with an idol in her damn pocket. So now, kind of on the episode, now we switch over to the new Grizzly Bear tribe, which essentially is a similar tribe, just Kyle Shield on there instead of Jasper. So it's Kyle Shield, Kyle Wilson, the Kyleverse, two Kyles, kind of wild, and then Jasper.
Into the Kyleverse.
Jasper and Dan then too. So they kind of, honestly, I'm surprised. It was entertaining to watch. They kind of grill Kyle Shield for information immediately about idols, who's leading their tribes. What did you think about that?
I think Kyle Shield was very wise not to give out information because obviously, I mean, if I was in this position, maybe I would use it as leverage, and I'd be like, hey, you know, like, you let me stay this one round, maybe I'll give you a little information and maybe give them false information. I don't know. But, like, Kyle Shield was very wise to not give information out and to pretend to not know anything. I think that is the wisest choice because then, I mean, like, some ways, if they think he doesn't know anything, then maybe it protects him longer in the game, and they think, like, oh, you know, but also, if they don't think he knows anything, they want info from him, they could be like, okay, well, you're just not valuable to us, skadoosh, goodbye, like, but I do think Kyle's pretty wise, because he's not outing Dakota, who he seems like he really wants to ally with, so.
Yeah, he does. He knows Dakota's an idol. Dakota told him. Doesn't say that. He just kind of says that Dolphin Sam was kind of being the leader, which I don't think really matters too much. To be honest with
I mean, it's really not going to matter in the long run because we only have like two rounds. Like
exactly. So then, there's an idol hidden in not a super obvious spot, but pretty much everybody could see it. And Dan ends up grabbing it. Says he found it, was excited about it. And then Arthur ends up saying that he saw Dan grab it, and he saw it before probably Dan saw it, and Dan just got it right before him. So what do you think about that dynamic of that happening? Because these two guys seem like they're pretty aligned with each other. Have voted together actually they haven't voted together every time. They were kind of split on you, but what do you think of that with Arthur seeing him find it? So what do you think of that?
It kind of gave me really like, and I don't like how I keep talking about like past seasons, but like fans versus favorites. Right before I found the idol, Maggie pointed it out and thought it was just something to keep the picture up. I ripped it out like, okay, if something breaks, I'll just pay for it. Which reminds me, I have another comment for fans versus favorites for what someone said earlier on. But like when Maggie found the idol, she's like, oh, it's not an idol. I pull it out, oh, it's an idol. So like it gave me vibes like that, where it's like, and obviously I think I said the last podcast thing we did where every time I played a season, almost every time I'd try to look for an idol, someone would find it right before I would get to it, and I would be so mad looking at like I knew I should have looked there like a minute prior, but it just kept giving me this reminder of like idols are not my friend, they're my enemy, and well, it's not my only enemy in the game, Matty Ice could probably do getting voted off another time. So
whoa, Matt and Richie, get me signed up. Season 4, Season 5. Give me a Heroes vs. Villains 2.0 Arrival season with Richie and Matt in there. Let's get it going.
Well, I mean, which tribe would I be on though, Heroes or Villains? Because all my seasons I've been kind of both. So that's another thing to think about. Like,
Richie, shut up. You're a villain. Come on. I don't know if Matt would be one though either. I mean, he does kind of talk crap about a lot of people, but. We'll see what happens with him. So that's really kind of how the episode ends. So little update on advantages and idols for you viewers watching this and post episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Still, I know it was, a pretty solid episode. A lot happened in it still with tribe swap, Exile Island, a duel, a cool challenge. So Dakota has an idol, Emma has an idol, Dan has an idol. And Jasper has an idol, and he also has the vote detective advantage, which you can see someone else's vote after they voted already, but before you vote. But you have to tell host Hunter in your interview before Tribal Council that you want to play and who. So you kind of have to make the decision right before Tribal. But it's still a pretty OP advantage. I like it. We'll see if that comes into play here eventually. And then Dolphin Sam got to steal a vote. So that's kind of what everybody has. So 6 people have stuff. Jasper has 2 things. And there's 3 other people left in the game. Kyle Wilson, Kyle Scheel, and Arthur that don't have anything. So we'll see what comes into play with that. So kind of epic. What do you think about all those people that hold stuff right now? Without giving any spoilers with what will happen.
Well, obviously I'm not. I do think, like, when I was looking around, hearing everything, and just watching it, I'm like, that's a lot of stuff people have. Like, a lot of people have power in the game, but for all you know, you could have all this power, misuse it, get yourself voted off, or you could just not use it at all and get voted off. You can have all the power you want in this game. It's how you use it that determines your longevity in the game. So, I don't think I said this before, but the comment for fans versus favorites, they were talking about Vin's jersey at one point with the one challenge where, first off, I just want to say, because I think I said it's way back, but I don't think it was on camera, I flat out apologized to him for that, and I told him if it was damaged, he could, like, I would pay him, like, the money to, like, get it fixed. I offered him a bunch of money. It's like, if it's ripped or broken, like, I will pay you for damages or to get a new one or something like that. And he was like, oh, it's fine. And then, like, I see the clip months later, I'm like, you little like, I was so mad watching that. And then they're bringing it up again, and I'm like, dude, like, you all know what happened. Like... It's so funny, like, watching it back, but, like, that's the one moment where I look at it, and I'm like, that is not what happened, and you jackasses know it. Like,
shout out Vin, if you watch this, winner of Season 8 of Survivor Wisconsin, Blood vs. Water, and was a finalist in our last season of Survivor Whitewater Legends. Great player, top 5 player, easily.
Great social player.
So that's really it. It's kind of turned a little Rich Dog Reacts on the big screen now instead of on a Snapchat story.
The big screen instead of my Snapchat with like 2 people watching.
So Richie, probably me and Christian. So
well, there's a lot of people. I
Yeah.
don't remember. It feels like 2. I don't know.
So Richie, I appreciate you joining me again. A little
Thanks for having me on.
post episode 2. What did you? We got a couple minutes left here before the time runs out here on this call, but really briefly, what did you think of episode 2 with what all happened? Kind of in a little sum up of it.
I mean, honestly, I may be biased in saying that I hated seeing the guy who went get out of the game, but I mean, it was a really solid episode. I liked watching his strategy, and I mean, I know it wasn't the reason Kyle went out, but the fact that I feel like it definitely put a target on his back, and the fact that I was able to do that, essentially, like, take someone's life in the game from beyond the grave. It's kind of fun to think about, you know?
Ghost Island. Little Ghost Island, eh?
Oh my gosh. Like, the advantage is me. I just come in and annoy the enemies of the player at hand.
So, yeah.
Don't get them voted on. No, they just want to quit if I annoy them.
So, episode 3 should probably be coming early next week. Maybe Tuesday is my goal. We'll see. But really quick, we have a few minutes. Not much time, Richie. But do you want to give, out of the 9 people left in the game right now, I know you know what ends up happening because you helped us film with it, which I really appreciated it. But without, giving anything away, what would you say, ranking 1 to 4, who the best 4 players that have played up to this point, or whatever way you want to put it, whatever, if they're in the best position or they're just playing the best, who would be your top 4 from 4 to 1 being the best right now in the game? Really quickly.
I feel like the 4 people who are doing the best this season at this point. Wow, this is a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. I would definitely have to say the 4 in general are, and this is unranked, would be Sam, Dakota, Emma, and Arthur. I would have to say at the moment that, I mean, Sam I would probably put down at maybe number 4 just because you don't know what tribe he's going to be on, so you don't know what's going to happen with him just yet.
Yeah.
Dakota maybe number 3 because of the fact that, like, hey, like, she's still there. She knows what she's doing. She's in good spots, but there's also
she has an idol.
The Matt stuff going on.
And she has an idol as
well, yeah, and there's, like, drama stirring up with the idol, so you never know. Arthur, because he's having a pretty good hold of the game, and, like, both tribes he's on, he seems to be in a pretty great spot. Like, he and Dan have control over Grizzlies at this point. He can get Dan to vote with Kyle Wilson and get rid of Kyle Shield. Mm-hmm. Or he can get Dan and go with Kyle Shield and vote off Kyle Wilson again.
Yeah.
Emma, I think, best possible. I don't think I really need to explain it again, but
yeah, you did.
Emma's kind of number 1 just because she's in the best position out of everyone in the game. Like, no one wants to go after her. Everyone's respecting her, which is surprising because Wisconsin won. A lot of the newbies either were not respected in any way whatsoever, or they were just screwed over so fast and they didn't even get a chance to really do anything. So I was just kind of seeing Emma, a newbie female, go in and automatically just have all this respect from everyone right off the bat. Like, all the respect coming towards her. It's just, I mean, it feels like it could do something really well for a game. So It's just, again, like I said before, it depends on how she uses all of this.
Yeah, and I think, too, it helps that there's smaller numbers, so you kind of have to talk to everybody. There's no hiding, which I like that aspect of it. And then you put Arthur, too, which I think I would agree with, too, at this point. And I know he doesn't have an idol advantage or any tricks in his sleep, but he knows that his buddy Dan has an idol. We'll see if that comes into play later on. But Richie, I really appreciate you joining me again for our post-episode 2 breakdown of the Cabin Fever podcast. Rich Dog Reacts, a.k.a. I guess you can call it. So, Richie, I appreciate it. We'll maybe get you on for after episode 3. We'll see what happens, but stay with us here at Idol Identifiers. Give us a like on this video. Check out episode 2 if you haven't yet. And give us a subscribe on Idol Identifiers. We're also on Instagram at idol.identifiers, which will give you updates on episodes and things like that. So, any last words, Richie? Really quick.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys have a great day.